Hello everybody, welcome to the Decks of the Weekend. This is my first Decks of the Weekend of 2023. Welcome to all of you. If this is your first time on my channel, welcome back to all of you who watched every day a video of mine in 2022. I look forward to make plenty more in 2023. So, Modern will always be my focus. I love this format. But, so yeah, let's kick things off with Modern. We'll talk about other formats later. This is the deck that once again did very well in this weekend. There's one player called Real who keeps on just winning and just doing very well with his own version of creativity at this point. There's other people doing well with a splash of white for Teferi, Leyline Binding, and even one or two copies of Persist. That's still my favorite version of creativity, although sometimes it can be clunky. Blood Moon can be hard on you. And then there's this version that Wario plays, where that plays 2 Burst Lightning and 2 Mana Leaks. Some cards that you really do not see at all in Modern. What's up with this? What's up with this list? So this list is straight up Teamer, or rather, in the main deck, your only green card is Renantix. You have a lot of answers for turn 1 Ragavan. You see that this player really respects the Blue-Red Murktide matchup with so much turn 1 interaction. I asked him why he's playing with Burst Lightning over Anoli Heat. He said it's for because sometimes you damage face. This deck happens a lot. If you think about it, it's true though, because you have Bolt, Fahrenheit, Prismatic Command, and if this deals just 5 damage to the face, 4 damage to the face, it can add up. Like a less careful opponent might just shock. For example, a Zoo player shocks for like 9 damage. It's not that unlikely to find 11 damage out of nowhere. This list also plays 4 Spell Pierce, so it's a very rounded list, and again, very well tuned, I think, because this player has been doing such a good result. He's also playing with 3 Archon, which is not something that you see that often, especially when there's the Persists. But this list definitely is maybe less clunky because you drop Archon less often. I already explained why I think Persist is a trap, because sometimes you open your hand, you have Bitter Reunion, Persist, Archon, so you have to keep the Archon, they counter your Bitter Reunion, you have nothing, just straight up nothing, you don't function. Whereas with this deck, you have interactions, and you have your 1 card combo in creativity, and even 1 Transmogrify. And you have 4 Prismatic Command, 4 Fib of the Mirror Breaker to fix your draws, to make sure that you don't run out of things. And also, again, because of 4 Prismatic Command, you can play around Blood Moon by just play Blood Moon. In response, you make a treasure, and then you untap and play creativity, or you just counter it because Spell Pierce Mana Leak. The sideboard doesn't have Abundant Growth. This player clearly realizes and thinks that Abundant Growth is not good in this version. I think if you play Leyline Binding and Teferi, it's still good. But here, instead, we have a lot of green cards. We have Nature's Claim and Boseiju, good against Hummer. We have Bit of Summer, good against Murktide. We have even 1 Weather the Storm. And we have 3 copies of Ether Gust, which is really a lot. I'm curious to know if this player is bringing an Ether Gust against Blue-Red Murktide. I didn't ask, but I'm assuming that you are. I'm assuming that you are bringing an Ether Gust as both an answer to, Blood Moon, but also for expressive iteration, or maybe, some red cyber cards like Season Pyromancer or Fury. Flusterstorm for the Cascade matchup, but then you have Iona. You don't have Emrakul. Emrakul, it's mostly just for the mill matchup mostly. I don't mind it against the Scam as well, but Iona is very, very good against Elementals, White, Solitude. This deck is so good against Solitude decks. It's really, really very good. And Iona names White so that it can't Solitude, Teferi, Leyline Binding, your Archons, and you just win. Like, I've seen Respect the Cat streaming his side against Wariel in a Modern Challenge top 8, and it's been nice. Like, Respect the Cat led the creativity for True Resolve with 2, when he was tapped out, with 2 answers for it, like Leyline Binding and Teferi, and 2 extra card, but the creativity just flipped Archon plus Iona named White, game over. So that's definitely a must in your creativity deck. Let's now head into Legacy. Legacy, I don't know if you have missed the tweet, but I have won actual first place in a very big tournament on Magic Online. 290 players for a what is called a legacy PTQ. I usually do not play those large Magic Online events because they usually happen in the weekend and things like that. But this time, instead, it was during the week. It was on Thursday because it was the holiday, so I was able to join at 4 p.m. this event that lasted until 4 a.m. because I went all the way to the final and won. Very little loss. I played against a lot of blue-red Murktide, sorry, blue-red Delver, which is blue-red Murktide, and in the top 8 against 2 Painter decks, which is supposed to be a matchup, but I was able to dispatch it both times 2-0. Yeah, I just love this strategy. It's very fun to play Ancient Tomb Chalice in this format. A lot of people big brain their way to cast Brainstorm when Brainstorm maybe it's not that good anymore right now. In fact, I don't know. I think a couple of players made the top 8 with Blue Red Delver, but they're just master, like Gul Dukat and Discover N. I played against so many Blue Red Delver. I must have played against play against 5 Blue Red Delver and a couple of 4 Color, and I don't know, it's good. Like, this deck is very good against them. It's mostly because of Cavern of Souls and Chalice. Cavern of Souls makes so that your thing is uncounterable, you get the dungeon down, you just win. Plus, I've added Blessed Alliance for True Nemesis and then Chamber Berserker, which is their way to go against you. But again, like, this deck has been great. I mean, I've made a couple of videos on my channel, so if you want to see this deck in action, just write Mono White Initiative Mengucci on YouTube, and you'll find I made 2 videos for my channel, 1 video for Channel Fireball. Lists are kind of different. This deck is now very refined, and yeah, not honestly just not much to say right now. Legacy is broken. This deck broke Legacy. They will fix it by banning the card eventually, but right now as it is, I mean, there's some decks that prey on this deck. You can definitely play like Painter, Elves, but this deck against the blue decks is just it's fun. It's fun to beat the blue decks in Legacy. I mean, I've been a blue deck player for a while. Now I just went on the other side with Chalice of the Void and Mono Blue 8 cast and things like that. I mean, I enjoy to play blue in Modern, but Legacy is definitely broken right now, and playing blue is a risk. I mean, you can say that Delver is good against this deck, but I don't think that's true. I think I always want to be on the Chalice of the Void side if I get to play against Delver, especially now that the Chalice of the Void side also play Cavern of Souls, because before you can say that, you just force the cards and you win, or dates the cards and you win, but thanks to Cavern now you're able to just open hands that are just the nuts, and they just can't answer with you, and you win. So thumbs up if you enjoy some easy win right now. Legacy Mono White Initiative, it is the way to go. Also, just very little and quick, green white in Initiative in Vintage. I also played the Vintage PTQ the following day and didn't manage to do the back-to-back. I stopped myself at 10th place, but I almost got there with the back-to-back in Vintage. Initiative deck is as powerful even in Vintage. Yeah, I mean, this format is definitely not something that you play in paper, but online it's very cheap. I mean, this deck is actually very cheap on Magic Online, and you can play it. Yeah, and this deck is excellent. I went 6-2. It's not good enough for the top 8, but it's still 50 treasure chests. I mean, this weekend last week was very high stake tournament. Honestly, just a lot of money flowing in those Magic Online events with the ticks, and they happened on Thursday and Friday. I was able to find time, and here I am showcasing you that I actually also compete sometimes on Magic Online. We'll see next time when it'll be, but this has definitely been a fun experience to play some very powerful formats with busted cards in 1 versus 1 Magic, like Warpstorm Adventurer and Seasoned Dungeoneer. Let's now go on to the Pauper format, which I always try to mention in my decks of the weekend. I mentioned last week the decks of the weekend came from Heisen, an Italian player member of the Pauper format panel, who top hater with Boris Gates, and now he ran it back again, and this time he won the Sunday Challenge with Tron, Flicker Tron. He's been the probably he won so much with Flickertron before with Prophetic Prism and the Borders Ornament. Then he became member of the Pauper Format panel, and he said he was forced to ban those cards because Tron was just too good. He wasn't played at all. He said he was played very, very little, but put up a stellar performance, winning performance. And I mean, when I say he banned, I mean he gave all the datas and all the reasons why this deck was just too busted. Now they added Energy Refractor, a 2-mana artifact that it's basically Prophetic Prism. Although the format now evolved very much, I think with Monastery Swift Spear and all the very good card of that they've released, the Tolerant Terror and such. Maybe now the format's still balanced. Monastery Swift Spear mostly, I think that card is very, very good and makes the format a little bit less fun than I remembered before Monastery Swift Spear was legal. But regardless of that, this deck won the Pauper Challenge in the hand of a very good player. He's playing with a card that I've never seen before. It's Timora's Invoker. That's a 2-mana 1/3 that you pay 8, you draw 2 cards. So that's a cheap blocker against the Voda and Epicure Goblin Bushwalker deck. That is also a late game threat with all your lands of Tron. So yeah, as long as you are fast at clicking the buttons to ephemerate your mnemonic wall and your Stoghorn Dignitary, I think this deck is good on Magic Online. In paper, you're just gonna get draws, you're gonna get into your draw bracket, you're gonna play mirror matches, things will be worse. But on Magic Online, this deck is definitely very good. In paper also, I'm sure that this old deck is also good in paper. Maybe its matchup against Mono Red isn't as good, but I'm sure that if Heisen won, he must have had a good matchup against Mono Red as well. I mean, with Blue Elemental Blast, with Weather the Storm, Faranga Marauder. I don't know what this card does. Alright, you just discard 4 cards if you flicker it, or blow up 2 lands if you flicker it. That's cool. Thank you everybody for watching. Every day, a new YouTube video Mango channel. If you arrived to here, please consider subscribing to the channel, leaving a comment, all the usual. Thank you for watching and happy 2023.